Hello and welcome. I'm Arumba. Thank you for joining me. This is a post-series follow-up to the Prince and the Thane mod that we just completed. And what I wanted to do is, I was really frustrated that we kept dying in that duel event. So I wanted to find out kind of like how that works. Let's go through the actual game files and just figure out how it works. So I haven't really spent much time looking at this quite yet, but I wanted to take a peek and see what we can find. So let's first go to Crusader Kings. We want to go to our mod folder. And this is basically, I wanted to show you how I kind of go through the files. So you know, maybe if there's something you're curious about, everything you want to know you can find in the files. Like throughout the series I referenced how, yep, I've checked the game files and English culture is better. Well, this is an example of kind of what I do when I'm making those determinations. So I know that what I'm looking for is going to be an event because it's something to do with the duel engine. So let's see if we can find duel. I don't see anything about duel. Okay, this looks like the section, maybe this TPTT looks like maybe where he modified it in to be, there we go, to be incorporated into his mod, because he didn't create the dual engine, he added it to his mod. So let's see, we've got dual engine events, output events, and dueling events. So let's just open up all three of those. In fact, let me get rid of all files that are open and just open only those three. There we go. And so now what I can do, now that I've got these files open, let's see, let's just see if we can kind of figure out what this stuff means. Now I did take some coding classes in college, so I'm okay at deciphering this. I'm not an expert like some of the people that I've talked to on Reddit, or obviously somebody who codes for a living, but I can at least make some sense of this stuff. Dueling engine events. See, this is a great indicator right here. When somebody puts these little pound symbols, these are not part of the actual code. It's more of a way for the person who wrote the code to illustrate what's happening to the person that's reading the actual code. So anything that's preceded by a pound symbol will not matter to the game's calculations. And so this is a great example of somebody doing excellent work with identifying what this stuff is for the person reading the code. So we can see here, there's like a main loop. Duel 1 is apparently the round start. Duel 2 is the duelist round 1, etc., etc. So let's use that to help us find more. Let's do a control find. We'll select that. Control F. Find what? Duel 1. So now we're going to go down and actually find, search down, to the first Duel 1 that shows up outside. Alright. And naturally it's right at the bottom. I should have assumed that, but round start. So Duel 1. Alright. Nobody should ever, actual referee should ever get this. Nobody but the actual referee. So okay, so somehow they're using E-rebels. So like it's like the rebels in the game are refereeing the duel. I guess that's how they're doing the random number generator or something. But what I wanted to know was like how are the actual outcomes determined? This doesn't look like it's showing the outcomes. This is showing more like who does the winners. Okay, wait, maybe here it is right here. Resolve round winner. Determine who won the round by weighting stats. Character event, Duel 4. Again, nobody but the actual referee should see this, so the AI. Tournament rounds, value equals 1. Okay. Generally speaking, when you see a from reference or a from reference, usually from is referring to the character that's actually having the event, and from is like the person that's being engaged in the event, but it's not always that way. Alright, so AI chance factor equals 50. There's a 50% chance that option the first is chosen, and there's a modifier being applied assuming that from, in this case, the AI has the trait Poor Warrior, a factor of 6 if they're a trained warrior, 9 if they're skilled, 12 if they're master. So the higher up they are in their martial, like that score, poor fighter, skilled fighter, etc., it multiplies the 50% chance by 12. Now the first thing that comes to mind is, well, hold on, if I take 50 times 12, then that's 600%. That doesn't make any sense. Well, this is the default factor, and what ends up happening is if there's another choice, which there probably is, down probably a little ways, quite a bit of ways actually. Okay, so from wins the round. From being the character, you, the player. Option 2 is apparently a 50% chance that the other person wins, and we see their modifiers. So what ends up happening is you take the two weighted scores and then divide by the total, and that becomes the new AI outcome chance. So like, for instance, if it was, I had a 600% chance, and let's just say that his weighting started at 50, and his modifier was like 16, then we get up a full third calculator. We can take 600 plus 800 is going to be 1400 is the total. So 600 divided by 1400 is a 42.8% chance. 800 divided by 1400 is a 57%. So that modifies the AI factor chance. So, all right, so let's see what some of these traits are, because I swear we should not have lost. I was just so frustrated how many times we lost when we had a good character. So just being a poor warrior is better than not having the warrior trait at all, clearly. If there were no other factors, no other traits, I would expect about a 75% chance of winning as a poor warrior versus an AI character who has no martial skill modifier. Martial education, being a misguided warrior is a minor increase, factor 1.5, meaning it's a 50% boost to your likelihood of success. Tough soldier, so yeah, being military does matter, okay. If you're a duelist, you get a modifier. Strong, you get a modifier. Weak. See, this is different. So notice how it says from. So this is basically determining first if from. So I'm actually looking at the enemy right now. So the enemy's going to win if he is these things. But notice how it changed here to from instead of from. That means that if my character is an imbecile, he gets a bonus. If my character is slow, he gets a bonus. And then here's his other modifiers. So now we're back to his modifiers. If he is brave, he gets a modifier. If he's wroth, if I am craven, if he is deceitful, apparently that's a good thing for combat. And if I am honest, he gets a bonus. If I am wounded, we're back to from now. If I'm wounded, he gets a doubled modifier. If I'm maimed, quadruple. And if I'm incapable, it's you're going and beating up on the idiot boy. Health effects seem to affect it. If you have any of the following, that's what this modifier factor 6 or means. An or says that if you have any of these events here, tuberculosis, typhoid fever, typhus, bubonic plague, measles, smallpox, Aztecs disease, any of those, doesn't matter which one, or even if you had all of them at once, you're still just going to get one modifier of 6. Being blind is a factor 10. Body shape. Okay, so wow, everything seems to be incorporated. Hunchback, dwarf, club-footed. Your age? Wow, there's a lot more in here than I thought. Okay, so what this is showing, this is a little bit, you need to know just a tiny bit about CK2 code here. When it says from age equals 55, that means that if you are from, meaning my character, if my character is at least age 55, there's a 2x modifier, a 2x factor. If my character's age is over the age of 45, okay, hold on, I gotta think about this for a second. If I am, what would make sense, first off? The older I am, the better he would do. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so from equals age 55. So if my character say 60, then he gets a 2x bonus. If my character's 60, he gets another 2x bonus. So quadruple. If my character's 50, then he doesn't get this modifier, but he does get this one. So the older you get, the older my character is, the worse off my chances of success are. Which makes sense. Young characters should do better. And then when it says modifier factor 2 not from equals 20, this one's the opposite. So this is saying that if my character is like Okay, modifier factor 2, not equals from age 20. So if my character is not at least age 20, then he gets a modifier. So if he's attacking a boy, for instance, he'll do a better job. If he's attacking someone who's under 15, he gets both of these. So like a 13-year-old, about the youngest you could actually get engaged in combat, he gets a quadruple modifier. So you get bonuses on the extreme high end and on the extreme low end of combat. And wow, there's actually, so everything seems to be factored in. It's a huge, huge calculation. You get a modifier for if your martial is at least 10. I guess I just got really, really, really unlucky. Oh. Interesting. Not afraid of death. So if my character, we're looking at just a single from here, if my character has the trait zealous, he's not afraid of dying, which increases the likelihood that I die, because I'm not going to be cautious. Cynical apparently also causes me to be more likely to die. I don't know what trait Lady Macbeth means. Interesting. And then this is going to be the opposite. So this is where from wins the round instead of from. So it's going to be the same thing all the way through to the bottom. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's pretty interesting. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this, but this is just something that I like to do. I like to read through the code, see if I can make sense of it. And I may have made a mistake here or there. If you know how to read the code, you'll probably be able to point it out to me. But in general, I feel better about it now. I understand it a little bit more. It looks like basically I just got really, really bad numbers because the good combat characters that I had should have done better, but they didn't. So that's bad luck. Let's see what this file is all about. Regency battles, tournament cheat duel results. Interesting. So this is basically things that... So these are character events that cause duels outside of the battle events. Character event dueling 9. So, and something else you can do is this can help to make sense of it. So let's take, for example, let's say I want to look at Evetopia Duel 5, right? What does that mean? Well, this is the code reference within the actual code to the localization file. So in order to see what this description is, what you actually see in the game, what we need to pull up next is we go back to this. We're going to go to the localization folder, and let's see if we can find one about dueling. Bloodlines. Doesn't look like there's any kind of dueling in here. So I've got a couple options. I could either open them all and then do a find, like a search, or I'm just going to pick the biggest one. 732 kilobytes, that's the biggest one. Funky events, I don't know. Maybe it's in there. So let's just do that. And then you do Control F, find that tooltip, or find that, that ID. Yeah, there it is. And then this is a comma separated value, a CSV file, but it's, it's being opened in Excel. It'd probably make more sense to open that in Notepad. We'll find that. So yeah, tries to defend this get him her self. So that's a clever way that they've made it so that tooltip will show up as tries to defend herself or tries to defend himself. And it looks like they've actually localized it to French as well. And then these extra little semicolons leave room for all the other languages. So we could go through and actually find, like, what were we looking at? Like, let's go to the very top. Determine who won the round by weighting stats. This is the ID. That's the picture that's used. Nobody actually gets it. So we're not going to see anything from this because the computer's what's seeing it. but it might be in the output events folder. Let's check that. So dual output 1. Let's look up this one. The fight is over. Get best name. So the fight is over. Alex Rack lies defeated. You have won. That happened. Or no, that happened the other way around. I died, so we'd have to find the next one. Victory is mine. This is that one you can see here. You see, yeah, it's complicated trying to read that when you're in Excel, because it's actually spacing it funny. But fighting across the field, you see an enemy soldier cut off from the others. While you can't tell who it is, it's clear that they must be highborn normal. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to do. I just wanted to poke around through the files a bit, and I figured I'd record this at least once, just so you can see how I'm doing it, and maybe it'll spur some interest in you. Maybe you'll decide to go poke around in the game files. This is the best way to learn how games work. If you have any interest in coding, or even if you just want to be better at the games you play, anytime you can, I'd advise you to dig around in the code. It's the best way I know of to learn how the game works. So, alright, well thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you again in the next video, and I'm still trying to decide what to play. So we'll see what we play next. Thanks for watching. See you soon.